What's going on, Dolphin fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here making this video today for a couple reasons. One is there's a lot of quarterback talk regarding the Dolphins, so we're going to get into that in a minute. But I also wanted to let you guys know that I will not be doing a live stream for the Super Bowl. In fact, I'm not even going to be watching the Super Bowl because I need to work. The money is going to be good before, during, and after. So I apologize to you guys on that. But unfortunately I work a lot and don't make that much as is. And, I just got some notices that I got my cat's overdue on his shots and stuff like that. So I need to put money together to be able to take him to the vet, get him updated on his shots and all that stuff. So I have things that I need to pay for, I just wanted to let you guys know about that and give you a little bit of an explanation as to why. So I apologize for that. So that's that. Let's actually get into the news though, and talk about, the things that have been developing. So first and foremost, I want to note that Ryan Fitzpatrick, we had already heard from Chris Greer that they expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to be back in 2020 for the Dolphins, etc., etc. There have been comments by him recently that, he says that he wants to continue playing and he would like to continue playing for Miami next season, etc., etc. So all indications is that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be, on the Dolphins roster next season. Now, as it stands right now, that would leave, Fitzpatrick, Rosen, and Jake Rudock on the roster, and we expect them to at least be there and through training camp, etc. Now, there's a lot of ways that this could go, right? Now, theoretically, one possibility is they could just not take a quarterback high in the draft and actually draft players like on the offensive line, defensive line, and other areas of the team and build the entirety of the team, and just go with the guys that they have for now. Maybe take a mid to late round quarterback or whatever, just to throw as another body in that room to see if he can develop, etc., and then use Ryan Fitzpatrick as your bridge guy, right? Also, let's note though that with this, with Tom Brady apparently, the rumors are increasing that he's going to be leaving, etc. He said that he's open to playing somewhere else. There were rumors that, he might come to the Dolphins, which I just don't, I honestly, I'm pretty sure that Tom Brady actually would retire before going anywhere else. To me, the argument that he feels like he has something to prove, and I think he's even made comments, something to that effect. I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't watch everything that he says, but even if he did say that, I'm not sure I totally believe it. I don't think he really thinks that he has anything to prove. I could be wrong, who knows? But I think it's probably more, after everything that he's built there, I just don't think he would want to, I don't know. Like I said, my personal perspective is I think that he would probably end up retiring. I think that's what's likely to happen. If he doesn't go back to the Patriots, he'll just end up retiring. Anyway, but there's reports that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross had said, made some comments that, along the lines of why would he come here, something like that or whatever, and he doesn't expect it, etc., etc. And frankly, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think Tom Brady's gonna be there, especially with Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back and Josh Rosen, the former first round pick a few years ago, and the young guy Jake Rudock, etc. So they could not take a guy at all. They could not take anybody in free agency. Maybe they still pick up a quarterback in free agency. There's still a lot that needs to happen, or that could happen. Now, what I think is likely, and I mean, this is, what I've been saying and feeling for a while now is that, Fitzpatrick is going to come back. I mean, we had to wait to see if he was going to retire, which there was, of course, rumors about that. I mean, there's rumors about everything, so, take every rumor with a grain of salt. but we had to wait and see with that. But I felt like it was going to end up being Fitzpatrick, Rosen, and at least through training camp, Jake Rudock. Now, as that stands right there, I think it would likely go into the season with Fitzpatrick as the starter, Rosen as the backup, and Rudock on practice squad again. But I don't know. Frankly, if I had to say one way or the other, I would venture to guess that they're not going to pick somebody up in free agency, but they could, just to throw somebody else in that room again, just to see what they've got in training camp. That certainly is possible, but I don't think that they will, because I think what is going to happen is that they are going to end up trading up to get a guy, right? Now, again, there have been tons of rumors and talk regarding the Miami Dolphins and what they're going to do, right? There's the conversations about, they could possibly trade up to the number 1 pick with the Cincinnati Bengals, right? And there was reports previously that the Bengals were going to stand firm. But then there were reports, maybe we're, or one of their prominent decision makers, I can't remember who, was like, that's news to me, right? And so it might be open, right? Especially if the price is if the pot's big enough, right? And the Dolphins definitely have enough to do it, and they've said that they're going to be aggressive, and with Stephen Ross's craven desperation, I wouldn't put it past them. Now, I don't think that's likely really at all, if I'm being honest. I'll get to what I do think is likely in a minute, but that rumor was out there, right? Now, there was also talk and reports about how no team's done more research on Justin Herbert than the Dolphins. And there were the reports that, they're in love with Joe Burrow, et cetera, the, entire season it was tank for Tua. There's still reports that, they love Tua, et cetera. Reports just came out that apparently Tua wants to go to the Dolphins. He would rather the Dolphins take him than the Lions. That was actually a specific quote. Let's see. It's a report from Bleacher Report. Tua Tagovailoa would love for Dolphins to draft him over Lions, and that actually kind of sets up what I think is going to happen. This is my speculation, but this is what I actually think is going to happen. And there were also reports too, let's note, that his father was saying that Tua's family agrees that they want him to go to Miami, which, I mean, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. There's a lot that goes into it, et cetera. But, and maybe they see, a desperate team that's going to guarantee their son, a high draft status and a big contract amid his, injury concerns, et cetera, even though people are saying that he's ahead of schedule. By the way, another side note, I hate reports that say ahead of schedule. I never want a player to be ahead of schedule. If they are, that's wonderful, but I never want them to in the process be ahead of schedule. I want the process to take as long as it's supposed to, and if anything, take longer than it's supposed to, because I want to make sure that guys are truly 100% healthy when they come back. But with the way that it's built, because everything is based off of money and everybody just cares about excitement and ratings and money and blah, 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 that's not how things work, but that's how I would like it. Anyway, so, maybe they're hoping that a team like that is gonna, like the Dolphins, are gonna guarantee him those kinds of things despite the unforeseeable, future for him and the possible shortened career, et cetera. But to me, if they do really want him to go to Miami, it's foolish, because if they do end up trading up to get him and then are big spenders in free agency like they've said they're going to be and we expect them to be, then my guess is that they're gonna handle it just poorly, the draft and free agency. They're going to think that they can just throw resources at it, like big bucks in free agency and then draft capital to go up and get a guy, right? and think that that's going to fix it, and it's not going to fix it. He's not going to have an adequate offensive line in front of him, and then especially with the reports that he's so ahead of schedule and all this stuff, and then especially if he gets to the combine and, you know, passes physicals, whether he does or doesn't, you know, whatever, and they just cover up for it, one of those things could happen. Either he's, you know, healthy enough, or maybe he's not quite there, but, you know, they give him the check mark anyway, just so that way, you know, because the NFL makes sure that they're not gonna fucking, you know, lose out on this gem that can bring in millions of dollars for them some way, shape, or form, whatever. Anyway, if he gets cleared, then you know, I could foresee the Dolphins being in a hurry to get him out on the field and throw him in there behind an inadequate offensive line, and could end up shortening his career even further, etc., etc. Now, again, we have to wait and see how all this plays out. Those are some of my fears, right? Some of my big fears with how the Dolphins have been going about their business. Now, going to what I think is going to happen. This is my prediction for what is going to happen based off of the information that I have. Now, we will get a little bit more indication of this when we get into free agency and see how they actually do things. If they are big spenders in free agency and try and pluck a few big names and sign them to big contracts, especially if one or two of those names come on the offensive line, then we are going to know. I mean, to me, that'll be a pretty significant data point to suggest that then in the draft, what they are going to do, and what I think that they are going to do, is they are going to trade away a significant, whatever it takes, to get to the number 3 spot. Now, I think that the number 1 spot is, I mean, I hope I'm right about this. I think it's too much. I think that it would be, you know, too big a price tag. And I think that they do really like Tua Tagovailoa as well as Joe Burrow. I think they like all those top quarterbacks. And I think that, you know, they probably feel that with the price tag that it would take to jump from 1 or jump to 3 as opposed to 1, and plus how they love the quarterbacks, etc., you know, whatever, they will probably back away from the just absolute monstrous price tag that it would take to go up to the number 1 pick. Also, probably because of how they feel like the draft is going to play out. Right now, part of the reason why the Dolphins would even trade up to begin with to get, like, let's say Tua, when there's been talk and reports that they could get him at 5, is because they would believe that some team could trade up ahead of them with the Lions to jump them in the pecking order to get Tua Tagovailoa, which would then be a disaster to the Dolphins and to this organization, because then Joe Burrow could go number 1, and then if another team jumps the Dolphins at number 5 to get to number 3 and take Tua Tagovailoa there, then they're stuck with Justin Herbert at 5 if that's what they wanted to do, but they lose their 2 top coveted quarterbacks. Anyway, so I think what was going to happen is the Dolphins are going to... I think the pot is going to be too much for the number 1 pick, so I think that they figure Joe Burrow's going to go to the Bengals at 1. Chase Young will likely go to the Redskins at number 2, and then at number 3, especially since they have, you know, some ties there, right? Brian Flores and Matt Patricia are, you know, colleagues. They work together for a long time. They're probably friends. They can probably get that deal done to where it's reasonable for both sides. Although my guess is the Dolphins are probably going to end up giving a little bit more away than what they should. But they gotta make it enticing, right? So, but I bet you they'll get that deal done. They'll move up to the number 3 spot and they'll take Tua Tagovailoa. That right now is, and frankly, that's kind of where I've been leaning. I've said that I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they trade up to the number 1 pick to get Joe Burrow, but my inclination and my guess and my prediction is that they are going to end up trading up to the number 3 pick with the Detroit Lions to get Tua Tagovailoa. And look, I mean, you know, the reports about his family and him apparently saying that he would like to go to Miami and that they would like to get picked by Miami over the Lions. That could just be, you know, I mean, for one, it could be not true. Two, it could be true, and it could just be like, you know, smoke, but it could be like smoke screens, right? There's a lot of different possibilities that or as for the reasoning behind it, but it also could be an indicator of what's to come, right? Maybe the Dolphins and the Lions have already been in these talks, and maybe they have a tentative deal already agreed upon, right? Maybe they're just hammering out some of the specifics, right? And maybe they've already talked to Tua and said, hey, you know, we've got this deal working out. I don't know, right? Who knows? Who knows? I wouldn't really put it past them to, you know, to be doing any of that stuff either. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is speculation, but that is what I predict is going to happen. And honestly, it's a big fear of mine because I think it's going to be the exact wrong path to go down after, from my perspective, they've already started in a massive hole, one that they dug for themselves. So anyway, there's a lot going on with the quarterback position and a lot developing there, and obviously a lot that we're going to have to keep an eye on going forward. It is certainly interesting, and there's going to be plenty to talk about as we continue forward. The Super Bowl is this weekend. Again, I apologize that I will not be able to do a live stream for it. But after all, life has to come first. And so it is what it is. But I do apologize, and I will be finding other ways for sure to be doing live streams. And look, at the end of the day, once the Super Bowl is over and we actually get into, you know, the off season, there's definitely going to be a lot to talk about. So I will be making plenty of videos whenever there's relevant news or things that I find interesting to discuss. Or, you know, if you guys have questions and comments that you put on my videos that, you know, are good conversations that I can put, because I like to, you know, and I'll definitely make a more concerted effort, especially when there's less news to talk about. I'll try and I do as much of it as I can already, but I'll try and do more of that, answering comments and stuff in videos, if there, you know, since there'll be a little bit less content to get to, just to kind of try and give back to you guys a little bit more in the lulls of, you know, news to report. So anyway, again, I apologize for not being able to make a video and do a live stream for the Super Bowl, but there is going to be plenty to talk about, and I will be here to keep you guys updated on everything that is relevant and try and do as much for you guys as I possibly can. And as we, you know, the channel grows, and once eventually, you know, it gets to a certain point, and as it continues to grow, there's certainly more and more that I'll be able to do for you guys and improve upon my channel. And I do have some things that I'm, you know, in my head that I'm planning and working on, and so hopefully I'll be able to start, you know, getting those to materialize soon. Anyway, with that, guys, I'm gonna get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoy my videos and my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.